Hello YouTube, hello random person stranger on the internet. You found this video where I talk about Victorinox tools and knives for techies or the average tinkerman or just anyone who works in IT or stuff like that. Anyone who wants a good set of tools. This is take 2 because my battery gave in, so I had time to practice. One disclaimer, English is not my native language, so there might be some hiccups. Other than that, there's no message from any sponsor because this is basically just a video from a random dude and not some random YouTuber. So to start this off, this video is about, as stated, Victorinox for techies or tech-savvy people, tinkermans, repairmen, repairwomen. Not actually, yeah, you know what I mean. So, basically, one thing in IT you can't really improvise is a good cooling paste. So I always carry some MX6 or whatever I just have lying around that is high quality. This is actually quite good, no endorsements or stuff. There's a lot of it in the tube and it's conducting heat quite well. And it has the little window that actually shows you there's some left. So always carry your thermal grease if you're in IT. I don't have to tell you, you probably know. So the minimal viable option or backup is the Swisscard. It's not actually like a Rumbo tool. There is a small plate in here, and one of the big pros of the Swisscard is its size and that you can use the tools separately. If you keep this like obsidian sharp, you can use it as a scalpel or X-Acto blade or stuff like that. It's tiny, but it can get a job done. You get a small screwdriver and a nail file. This screwdriver is just a flathead and the nail file is just stippled, but it could be used if in a pinch to adjust some plastic parts or stuff like that. You can just file a little bit of way or yeah, it's just a little file. This is basically just a backup tool. But I have to state the scissors on Victorinox, they are just amazing. All of the scissors, it doesn't matter the size, are set against each other, slightly angled, bent. So the cutting face is always exactly on point, no matter where in the cutting section it is. That makes for very high precision cuts, and the scissors work even fine if they're slightly indented because you abused them. And again, because you can use this separately, you can work inside of a case or snap something. Just very nice scissors. And the spring is user replaceable if you ever lose it or damage it. Yeah, put these aside. What else do you get for the gentleman administrator that just needs to scribble down a password or two? There's a pen included. Those are pressurized pens, so you can write underwater if you ever need to do so. But it just means they quite work really well. Only downside, the size. It's not comfortable, but if you just need to scribble something down, it totally does the job. The toothpick, I never pick my teeth with it, but it can be used to prod or if you need to keep something open, like with a tablet sealed with tabs of plastic. If you pry it open slowly, slide it open, you might need to keep some of the edges open or just use this to slowly slide without damaging anything because it's very soft and made of pliable plastic. So it's good for that tasks. And the tweezers, nothing special to say about it. If you're musical, you can play a nice tune with it, but they're just tiny tweezers. The design, well, let's just say the Victorinox pliers are the better tweezers. I never use the pliers to remove ticks or something, I always use the pliers. Those can be useful too in some instances. If you like a little bit of MacGyver, you always improvise with everything, then you're gonna find a lot of uses for those tools. And last but not least, there's a small scale on the sides. The Swisscard is also available with a little flashlight and like a magnifier and more screwdrivers, but this is the simple Swisscard Classic. I carry it as a backup in my wallet for real desperate situations, but I rarely use it, and this is good because the tools are quite frail, so Doesn't get too much use, but when it does, it really saves me in a pinch. Also, matching in the color a translucent flash drive. Not big, but it carries a small bootable Linux distribution with a lot of tools, and on the other partition a Windows PE. That means pre-installed. It's like a Windows 10 that runs off the stick with all the tools included that you would need to format drives, rescue data, you name it. So when this was the smallest viable option for Victorinox tools, for the Tinkerman and ITiler and whatever, there's this. And this got to be my favorite Victorinox 58mm, except maybe for the Swiss Champ, because you get all the stuff you would need to, for example, replace the fan on a laptop or repaste the laptop or work on a laptop in general. You could say this is the laptop knife, but it does a lot of other things too. First off, this screwdriver. It's just the Phillips. There's also a flathead on the file, like on the Swisscard. But this little Phillips, let's call it a mixture between a Phillips and a Posey drive. Because of its construction, it is suited for like for big screws. No troubles there. But let me see if I can find a really tiny one. Yeah, like this. This gotta be one of the tiniest screws in here. You see, it's really tiny. But the screwdriver actually fits. It would totally drive this absolute tiny screw. And not only does it drive big screws or tiny screws, it is also very well situated to drive worn out or stripped out screws because of the Posey drive Phillips mixture, because of these steep walls and the rather pointy end. So if you I once got a screw on a daughter card for Wi-Fi in a laptop. I thought I had to drill it out, but these ones, they did the job perfectly. The screws were basically script beyond recognition, but this tiny driver really did the job. Also, if you have to scribble down a password, you get a retractable and replaceable pen that is also pressurized, so you can just use it to write something down. Victorinox says extend one tool, so you can write more comfortably. Doesn't end there though. Like, it's got a small flashlight, just for the occasions when you are crawling under the desk and trying to differentiate between the RJ45 and the USB port. And the best of all, it's got a dual-sided USB-C, USB-A 16GB flash drive. I'm sure there are bigger capacities around there. There are. But it's enough. I bought it quite a few years ago. It's enough as a boot drive with multiple OSes on it, operating systems. And it will fit your smartphone, so if you do a backup, you can do that too. And it's detachable, so you don't have the tool dangling around some USB port, putting it in harm's way. It's really amazing. And it's high-grade USB-free flash memory. So the interface is USB-free. It really is damn blazing fast for its time, for its age. And in comparison, if you buy really cheap flash memory, sometimes it doesn't even survive a reformat or stuff like that. Some really basic stuff. But this one has seen some heavy work and it's still really performing well. Also, of course, you got a little blade and the scissors. Those are smaller than those on the Swisscard, but yet again set against each other for the perfect cutting edge. They will do small zip ties, big zip types if you are brave, and they're very well suited for the finer tasks. So this will do all the work necessary on a laptop, for example. It's a little dinged up from prolonged use, but still looking nice and shiny. I could adjust the light a little bit, and that's maybe a little better. The flashlight, I don't use it that often, but I yet have to replace the battery on this one. My mini champ gets a lot of more use on the flashlight. I had to change that twice, but it has actually a little circuit inside, so it really juices the battery down to the last drop and keeps a constant light output. Yeah, so just imagine, this thing is as big as your thumb, but you can always carry it, you can fix a laptop, rescue some data, be the hero of the day, so to speak. Not that we need the hero of the day, we need the hero of the hour. Yeah, detachable flash drive. So, but what if, let's say, you're a little more demanding, and this may be a nice tool for a backup, but you need more, then fear not. The amazing Cybertool. My first Victorinox was a Cybertool, but it was the large Cybertool which adds the big file and with metal saw and the saw to this tool. But they, I think they stopped production. They're still on sale, but it was not too much. It was getting too close to the Swiss champ, and they want to keep the Swiss champ as the champ of the lineup. But I have to say, this is pretty darn well a great, amazing tool, and I'm gonna tell you why. What gives the signature of the Cybertool series is this bit caddy. So we get double-sided bits, 4 of them, which are of very high quality, have a ball retainment, so they're not gonna fall out, they're not magnetized, only have the ball retent, are double-sided and very hard. This can be a downside. For example, I got one of those bits, I broke the tip off of the flathead because it's very hardened, so if you got a stubborn screw, well, let's just say you could always use the big flathead that is on the cap lifter. This one is very sturdy, and if you angle it at 90 degrees, then it has a lot more force, and if the screw doesn't budge if you use it like this, well, get a proper tool or something else like a sledgehammer. But back to the Cybertool itself, it also angles with a soft stop at 90 degrees for added torque. And yeah, the bits are high quality, they're gonna last quite a while. Of course, the coating will strip, but that is eventually this, well, it happens to all the bits, but you can purchase them separately and the original ones. And if you need other bits, you can always go for some cheap, expandable, fine screwdriver bits. Those are my expandable ones. I use them on, well, stuff I don't mind them getting mangled. Those are just my backup ones. And if you know what you need, for example, if you have a job with a specialized need for screws, you can always remove the original ones. And let's say you just need specialized torques or stuff like that, different sizes or even more specialized ones. You can get a high quality set, of course. Those are quite good bits, and you see those are the security types with the recessed middle, so it can counteract on the pin. Not counteract, but as stated, not my native language, you know what I mean probably. So you can put together a set with bits that you need the most and just add them in here. Just remember, without the ball retent, they're gonna drop, so you could always put a little transparent tape, like just half around it, so it will squeeze in there and not drop out. Just a little bit of clear cellophane tape and you're set. Of course, there's only one limiting factor to this: the length, the reach. So for example, you know it maybe you're installing a big computer air cooler and you have to screw from the top through the cooler, then you might need some extension. Those are usually coming with those bit sets. And if this is not enough, you can always add more extension and then the adapter. Because this is another smart move. If, for example, you're using your Cybertool for mixed jobs and sometimes you have to use big bits, or live in Canada and have the need for a standard Robertson, then you can always grab standard sized bits, put them in this magnetized holder, and voila, you can screw drive Robertson, I'm sorry. Don't screw Robertson, it's a great type of screw. So with this adapter, all the bits in your standard kit are available for the Victorinox, so you can just assemble a small kit with this adapter and keep it in a tin can next to your Cybertool or in your tech bag, just to have this added convenience. These adapters though, they are not meant for extreme high torque application, but then again, if you really need to use it on something heavier, use proper tools, please. Okay, I'm doing this later. Next point about this bit driver is it has some, let me just focus on that, manual lens. It has a small recession that is a little wider than the actual bit drive. And this is so in order if you have on motherboards or connectors, you have those standoffs and you can screw them with the tip of this. And this is also convenient if you have to tighten one of those or have to get mainboard standoffs onto the mainboard or off the mainboard. That's gonna be your friend. Then again, one of the really amazing tools of the Victorinox, even if most people are complaining about it, is those pliers. And why are those amazing? You can have small wire cutters for smaller wires or small, let's just say if you're soldering and have to cut some leads or stuff like that, then it's nice. It has some crimping action on the back, but most of all, those are extremely precise. I mean, they're like tweezers and they're very fine and they are very flat and low profile. To give you a small story time, once I was on a camping trip and one of the women was on insulin and she locked herself out of her trailer and she really needed that insulin. And there were some grown-up people trying to pick the lock with nails and whatnot. And a friend of mine and me, we both had Victorinoxes with those tiny flat pliers. So we walked around the trailer and found that the back window was the best point of entry. And because they are so flat, one of these pliers could slide beneath the rubber seal of the back window and grip the counter nut, and the other one just screwed off the nut on the outside. So we could get into the trailer without damaging anything, just with these flat, nice pliers. Also, this is user replaceable. You can get it for like 20 cents or 20 whatever, 20 small, whatever is your currency. You can get them in online shops and replace them if they ever break down or get too soft. But it takes quite a while before that happens. And then again, probably one of my favorites, they added the small screwdriver and it's really tiny. They also sell different versions with Torx, Phillips or smartphone tray removal tools. So you got this really tiny flathead and it's just an additional tool that takes no extra space but can be really handy in a pinch. If you're wearing glasses, you know that. And of course, if you have to remove a tray of a smartphone or have to push a reset button, you always have this little pin needle. Also clears nozzles or picks some out of your skin. It's just a standard needle, so you can replace it with sewing stuff. Not sewing needles in actualities, so it's pin needles.